My name is Alara. My name is Alara. I am 26 years old. I am a policewoman. I work in a small mountain town. The town is called Aspen Creek. Life here is simple. It is usually very quiet. My police uniform is the most expensive thing I own. I live in a small apartment. It is above the town's bakery. Every morning I wake up. I smell fresh bread. It is a small comfort in a lonely life. One cold day came in November. I was working. The sky was gray. The wind was cold on my face. The mountains looked dark. They looked angry. Suddenly, the radio made a sound. A call came. The voice was scared. A baby was lost in the mountains. A family was visiting the town. They told the police their baby was not in their car. I felt a cold feeling inside me. It was not from the weather. A baby alone in this wild place would not live long. My heart beat fast. I am a police officer, but I am also a person. I felt scared. The mountains are dangerous. They have steep drops. They have wild animals, but my job was clear. My chief told me to be the leader of the group that would search. I took my flashlight. I took a thick blanket from my car. I knew I must find the baby quickly. I had to be brave, not for me, for the small life lost in the cold. I looked up at the big, quiet mountains. I took my first step. I walked into the woods. The trees were tall. The ground was uneven. I thought about the baby. Was he cold? Was he crying? I hoped he was okay. The search would be hard. It was getting late. The sun was going down. I walked faster. My boots made sounds on the leaves. The wind blew through the trees. It made a sad sound. I held the flashlight tight. I looked around. I looked for any sign, any small sign of a lost baby. My duty was strong. I had to find him. I had to bring him home. The mountains felt big and unfriendly, but I kept walking. I walked deeper into the quiet, cold woods. I hoped I was going the right way. I hoped I was close. I hoped I was not too late. The baby in danger. I followed the small marks on the ground. A family showed me where the baby was last seen near their car. But soon the marks were gone. The ground was covered with leaves and rocks. I shouted, "Hello, can anyone hear me?" The strong wind was the only answer. The sun was going down. The day was ending. The tall trees looked like dark fingers pointing at the gray sky. Other police officers were looking in different places, but I felt I must go up, higher into the mountain forest. The mountain was cold. It was also dangerous. I walked slowly. Sometimes my boots slipped on wet stones. My hands were red and numb from the cold. Many hours passed. I walked and walked. I started to feel sad. I started to lose hope. My body was very tired. Bad thoughts came into my mind. What if I was too late to find the baby? This idea made me feel sick. Then I heard a sound. It was very small and weak. It sounded like a small cat crying. I stopped walking. I stood still and listened carefully. Yes, I heard it again. I pushed through thick bushes. My light showed a small opening. It was a cave. It was hidden behind a very big rock. I went inside the cave. A baby was there. He was wrapped in a thin blanket. He was not crying loudly. He was making small, tired sounds. His lips were a little blue. His tiny fists were clenched. He looked hungry, and he was very, very cold. I quickly unwrapped him. Then I wrapped the baby tightly in my own thick police jacket. I held him close to my body. I wanted to give him my warmth. I called for help on my radio. My hand was shaking a little. My voice was shaking with relief. "I found him," I said into the radio. "The baby is safe now." I was so happy that I saved this small life. I felt tears freeze on my face. 3, who is the baby? The next day was different. A man came to the police station. He did not live in our town. He wore expensive clothes and shiny shoes. Outside, his car was very big and black. It cost a lot of money, more than my small home. The man's name was Julian. He told us he was the baby's father. He looked very tired. He told us the baby's name was Leo. Julian explained that the baby was not lost by tourists. That story was not true. Julian said he told the police that lie so they would start looking for his son immediately. The real story was much harder to hear. Leo was taken from him. Julian spoke quietly, but his words were strong. "Someone bad took him from me," he said. "Someone I thought I could trust. They wanted to hurt me, so they took my son, my little Leo." My police chief and I listened carefully. This story was big and sad. It felt like a story from a book or a film. Julian looked at me. His eyes showed how thankful he was. "I cannot give you enough thanks," he said. "You saved my son's life. You saved my world." He wanted to give me something. He talked about giving me money, a big reward. He wanted to show his thanks with gifts, but I did not want money or gifts. I shook my head no. "I am a police officer," I told him. I tried to sound calm and professional. "I just did my job. Helping people is my job. My duty is not for money." Julian looked surprised when I said this, but he also looked like he understood. He seemed a little impressed that I did not want his money. Finding little Leo was enough for me. That was my reward, knowing the baby was safe and warm. 4, gifts and money. Julian did not listen when I said I did not want a reward. The very next day, expensive gifts started to arrive at the police station. First, a big car came. It brought many, many flower bouquets. There were so many flowers in bright colors, filling the air with their smell. Our small office was suddenly full of them. It looked like a beautiful garden, but it was strange. The other police officers looked at me. They whispered to each other. I felt uncomfortable under their eyes. The gifts did not stop. The day after the flowers, a box arrived. It was full of expensive chocolates. They were in a fancy box. I did not take any. I put the box on a table in the corner. Then another big basket came. It was full of fresh fruit and nice bottles of wine. Again, I felt a heat in my face. I did not want these things. It felt wrong. My life was simple. These gifts were not simple. I called Julian on the phone. "Julian," I said, "please stop sending gifts. It is too much. I appreciate it, but you do not need to do this." I tried to explain that I was just doing my job, but Julian did not agree. He said he wanted to show his thanks. One afternoon, Julian came to the police station himself. He was holding a small box. It looked heavy in his hand. He walked over to my desk. "Ilara," he said kindly, "this is for you." He gave me the box. I opened it. Inside, on soft material, was a gold necklace. It was very thin and delicate, but it looked very old and beautiful. I knew it cost a lot of money. It was a very valuable gift. I looked at the necklace for a moment. Then I closed the box. I pushed the box back across the desk to Julian. "No," I said firmly. My voice was quiet but strong. "I cannot take this necklace. It is too valuable for me." Julian looked surprised, then sad. "But why not?" he asked. "Please let me thank you in this way. It is important to me. You saved my son's life." He looked at me with hopeful eyes. My police chief was sitting at his desk nearby. He had heard everything. He stood up and walked over. He looked tired. Maybe he was tired of seeing all the gifts arrive every day. "Ilara," the chief said, "maybe there is a way to make this stop. Mr. Julian clearly wants to show his thanks, and he will not stop sending gifts. How about this? You can spend one day with him. Let him take you to dinner or something simple. Then he can feel he has thanked you properly. And maybe all these gifts will stop coming to the station." I felt very surprised by the chief's idea. My face felt hot with embarrassment. Spend a day with Julian? I felt trapped. But the chief was right. Julian would probably not stop otherwise. It might be the only way to make things normal again. I looked at Julian. He was waiting patiently. I took a deep breath. "Okay," I said, agreeing slowly. "Just one day. 1 day together. Julian and I spent 1 day together. He did not want to go to a fancy place. He said, 'I want to see your world. I want to learn about your police work.'" This surprised me. I showed him around Aspen Creek. I showed him the old buildings and the quiet streets. I also showed him some parts of my job. We visited Mrs. Gable. She was an old woman who called the police often because she was lonely. Julian was not bored. He listened to everything I said. He asked many questions about my town and my work. He was very kind to Mrs. Gable. He sat and listened to her stories for 1 hour. I saw a different side of him that day. He was not just a rich man from the city. He was a person with a good heart. Later, we sat by the river. We ate simple sandwiches from the town's small cafe. Julian told me about his life. He said his father was a famous lawyer, but Julian wanted to build houses. He did not want to work in a courtroom. We talked for many hours. For the first time in a long time, I laughed with a man. It was a real, loud laugh. It surprised me. I felt something new and warm inside my heart. But I also felt scared. It was like a small fire that could grow too big. I was careful. My life was simple. I was a poor policewoman. His life was very different. He came from another world. I did not want to fall in love with him. 6. A growing friendship. After the day we spent together, Julian started visiting Aspen Creek more often. He did not bring big, expensive gifts anymore. Instead, he would come to the police station with coffee for me and the other officers. He would ask about my day and how things were. We started to talk like real friends. He visited the station quite a lot. Sometimes he said he had questions about the baby's case, but I think he just wanted to talk to me. Our friendship grew stronger with each visit. He learned more about my simple life here. I learned more about him, not just the rich man, but the person. The people in our small town started to notice Julian's shiny black car. They saw him at the police station. They saw him talking to me. People in a small town see everything. They started to talk and whisper when I walked by. I heard them in the market and at the bakery. They would say things like, "Is she dating the rich man?" My friends at the police station also teased me a little. My life was not quiet like before. It felt strange to have people talking about me. I felt a little angry because my life was my business. But a small part of me, a secret part, felt a little happy that he kept coming back. One evening, Julian asked me to have dinner with him. It was not a fancy city restaurant. It was the only nice restaurant in our small town. It was simple, but it felt special. We talked about many things during dinner. I felt comfortable with him. He was easy to talk to. As we ate, I thought about baby Leo. I felt brave enough to ask Julian a question about the baby's mother. I asked him gently, "Is Leo's mother? Is she helping you?" Julian's face changed very quickly. He stopped eating and put his fork down on the plate. His face looked sad and also a little angry at the same time. He looked at me and said, "Leo's mother. It is very complicated." He took a deep breath. "She is the reason he was taken." A cold feeling came over me. I knew then that Julian had a very big, dark secret. 7. Meeting the baby again. A week passed. Julian called and asked me to meet him. He was not at the police station this time. He was at a small cabin he rented. It was just outside of town. He said he wanted me to meet someone important. I went to the cabin. When I walked inside, I saw baby Leo. He was in a small bed for babies, sleeping. He looked very different from the baby I found in the cave. He was not cold and blue now. He looked healthy and pink. I walked slowly to the baby's bed. I looked down at him. He was beautiful. Julian stood next to me. He spoke quietly. "I wanted you to see him," he said. "I wanted you to see the baby you saved." At that moment, Leo opened his eyes. His eyes were big and blue. He looked up at me. I carefully put my finger near his hand. His tiny fingers closed around my finger. He held it tightly. I felt a warm feeling start in my hand and spread through my whole body. It was a deep connection. Then Julian told me the rest of the story. The baby's mother, Isabella, was a very famous woman. She was also very rich. She never wanted a baby. She told Julian that a baby would stop her career and ruin her life. When Julian said he would keep their son, she became angry. She paid a person to take Leo. She told the person to leave him somewhere just to lose him. She did not want the baby, but she did not want him to die. She just wanted him gone. Now, Julian was fighting for his son. Isabella's family was very powerful and rich. They were helping her. They were trying to take Leo from Julian. They were telling people that Julian was not a good father. Julian looked at me. His eyes showed pain and fear. "They are trying to take him away from me, Alara," he said. His voice was sad. "You found him. You saved him from the cold mountains. You saved my world." I looked at him. My heart was beating very fast. This was a big problem. It was not just about money or different lives. It was about a good man trying to keep his child. I wanted to believe in him. I wanted to feel love again. 8. New love in the mountains. After Julian told me his big secret, things changed. I knew the truth about his son, Leo, and the difficult fight he was in. I was not just the policewoman who found the baby anymore. I was someone he trusted. I saw how much he loved his son, and I saw his strength. The people in town still talked, but their whispers did not feel important now. What mattered was the truth I knew and the feelings I had for Julian. One evening, we were standing outside the small cabin where he sometimes stayed with Leo. The sun was going down behind the mountains. The sky was red and orange and purple. It was very beautiful and quiet. Julian turned to me. He looked a little nervous. He slowly took my hand. His hand was warm and felt good to hold. He said my name softly, Alara. He looked into my eyes. I am fighting for my son's future. It is a very big and hard fight. There are powerful people against me, but I don't want to do it alone. He held my hand a little tighter. You were so brave in the mountains when you found Leo. I need that kind of bravery with me now. Can we face this problem together? He was not just asking me to be his friend or to go on another date. He was asking me to be on his side, to help him fight for his child. He was asking me to be part of his life and part of Leo's life. I looked at him, then I looked at the big, silent mountains around us. My heart was beating fast, but it was not from fear this time. It was loud with a clear answer. I smiled at him. It felt like a new, happy smile. "Yes, Julian," I said. "Yes, I will." I was a simple policewoman, and he was a rich man from a different world. Our story started with danger and sadness. But standing there, holding his hand, I understood that our different lives did not mean we could not be together. Love is not about money or where you come from. It is about two hearts. The mountains were cold that day I found Leo, but now, standing with Julian, I felt only warmth and hope. Our new chapter was beginning.